Hey guys, welcome to the Dragon Den. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. I've done a lot of thru hiking. I've hiked 5,200 miles, did the Continental Divide Trail, the High Route of the Pyrénées, the GR5 in the Alps, and the South Island of the Te Araroa Trail in New Zealand. And I also did the John Muir Trail just recently. And I just wanted to share basically my gear lineup that I use to hike all those trails. So let's hop right into that. So the first and most important thing is probably going to be your backpack. And I've got here, this is the Z-Pack's Arc Haul. I love this pack, the 60-liter pack. You know, it's got a basically full frame carbon fiber suspension made of these two really thin poles. I think the whole thing only weighs about 1.5 pounds. I've made a few little modifications. You know, I've got a clip for an ice axe on the outside. I've got a few carabiners. I've got a lock for if you happen to be at a hostel, you need to lock up your gear. It's good to have one of those. I've got a pouch on the front for sticking my phone. I usually have a lanyard on my phone around my neck so I don't lose it, because you'd be pretty screwed without your phone, without your maps and all that. And I've got a compass on here as well. And this will probably do you for up to, let's say, 7 or 8 days worth of food and all your gear and all that, and maybe even 9 to 10 days of backpacking if you could strap some more food on the outside. But you know, why push it? You might be able to make more time with less weight, less food. So I'd shoot for 7 or 8 days with this pack. Oh yeah, I've got a little thermometer on it as well. It was part of a ball compass. I think it's made by Sun Compass. So a little thermometer just to tell me how cold it is. So I guess I'll run through the big 4. We just did the backpack. The second heaviest item is going to be this 3-man tent. This is a big Agnes HVUL3. I love this tent. I love just sprawling out in it. I love being able to have other people, you know, in the tent if I want to, you know, we want to play cards on a rainy day or what have you. It's a great tent. I've got a little ground sheet that I made out of some Tyvek. And the stakes are the Groundhog Mini or Micro stakes by MSR. They're pretty light. So my whole base weight's probably like 18 pounds with all this gear, depending on if I need snow gear or not as well. So, you know, maybe not the most ultralight of hiking, but you know, I didn't want to be so ultralight that it was like stupid light. So I've always felt pretty prepared, even when I've been caught in like blizzards and just very dangerous situations where if you're not prepared, if you didn't bring enough gear, or your gear is not, you know, up to the task, it's not heavy enough to do its job in extreme conditions, you know, you could get really hurt out there. So 18 pounds, I mean, compared to what people used to do, that's like stupid light. So it's plenty light enough for you to hike, you know, thousands of miles and not even feel it that much. Alright, for the sleeping bag, I've got the Z-Pack's 10° Fahrenheit sleeping bag. It's extra long, extra wide. It's got a foot box for your feet, which is pretty important. Just one thing to note, I've used this for all 5,200 miles of backpacking, and you do have to fluff it after a while because the down will settle to the sides of the bag when it's on top of you. The down wants to fall downwards, and then it's not where you need it to be, which is on top of you, trapping all your heat that is radiating up off of you. So you have to kind of grab the sides and like swing it and get the down back onto the center of the bag for really cold nights. But once you kind of understand it, you can move the down, you know, off of you if it's a really warm night. If it's 50 degrees outside, you just want the shell and no down on top of you. You can do that too. You just flip it all to one side. Or if it's really cold, you put all the down like right on top of you and get really bundled up. So great sleeping bag. Love it. No complaints there. Except for maybe it's expensive. It's like $500 or $600, but well worth it. If it lasts 5,000 miles, I mean, why not? It's done its job. I've never been cold in it, so even camping at Crater Lake in the 7 degrees, you know, camping up on the Watchman, still did its job very well and kept me warm. So no complaints with the Z-Pack's sleeping bag. I've got a full-length Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. Great little sleeping pad. Get about 2.5 inches of mattress thickness, and it's the full length of my body, so I can kind of, I'm kind of a rotisserie sleeper, so I like to, turn on my side, turn on my back while I'm trying to fall asleep. And so this pad has been big enough for me. I'm 6'2", and I love it. Very lightweight sleeping pad. So for trekking poles, I use these black diamond poles. I've replaced a few pieces I've broken. When I was on the John Muir Trail, I broke one of the midsections in the snow slipping, but all these parts are pretty interchangeable. So my friend actually had a broken pole that was broken differently. He gave me his midsection, so I was able to just get right back on trail. With that, I didn't have to order anything. And yeah, pretty much any trekking pole will do, but I'd go with one of the better brands like Black Diamond, and there's some other ones. But these are great. I've replaced the tips a few times just from losing the carbide tips, but it's a super easy process. You just heat them up and slide them right on. So yeah, I love these poles. I've actually attached some Gorilla Tape around the pole for gear repair if you ever need it. And I've kind of minimized the straps so that if I'm like scrambling or whatever, I'll have something to hang them on. So these are great trekking poles. I can recommend those fully. Also, almost forgot, you could stick them in the ground. You can use them as a timer to get a picture of yourself. And you basically put your phone in the wrist strap like this, and you'll be able to set a timer on your phone. You can get a picture of you, even if you're just hiking by yourself. So I took many selfies with these poles. And you want to get a picture with your friends that you're hiking with. You don't want one person out of the picture, so you stick it in the ground and you can get all your friends in there and yourself. So this is kind of a comfort item, but really good in the snow. This is just like a very small portion of the Thermarest seat. And if it's snowy or dirty or even like rocks and things, they're like sandpaper, so when you're sitting on them, they'll actually wear through the thread on your pants, and eventually you'll have to replace your pants or sew up your pants because of that, because of the rocks just wearing through them. But if you just put this down beneath you, like every time you sit down, you have it somewhere accessible, and not only do you kind of stay a little more comfortable, you can keep your clothes dry on the snow, keep your clothes lasting a little bit longer, and just sitting around camp, it's just nice to be a little cleaner, a little more comfortable. So definite just comfort item, definitely not necessary, but I like to have it. So for rain gear, I've got this Frog Togs poncho, and this thing is both my pack cover and my rain gear, and it's also kind of it could be a temporary shelter. I've used it to kind of make coffee under it while I'm still wearing my pack and all that in a rainstorm, because you can kind of get inside of it and kind of stake it out like a small tent, and then you can just wait out, really heavy rain and things in there and still stay dry and warm and comfy. So I love this thing. I've got 2 carabiners on it that I would clip. I'd move it over my backpack and clip it onto my belt, and it would shed all the rain away from my backpack as well. So it covered my whole upper body. Maybe pants would get a little wet, but that's gonna happen no matter what you do in the heavy rain when you're backpacking. So but yeah, super light, super effective, got a lot of different uses out of this thing. So definitely recommend. It's a very cheap piece of gear too. It's like $10 or $15 for a Frog Togs poncho. So definitely get yourself one of these if you're just don't know what to get. Try it out. I love it. I've used it all my hiking. So for my food system, I would usually have 3 different pretty heavy duty plastic grocery bags. I'd have one with kind of breakfast foods, I'd have a snack bag, and I'd have one with all my dinner foods, just so you can separate and easily find the food that you're looking for when you need it. And cooking system, I love this Toaks. This is a 1.1 liter or 1 liter pot. It just does perfect for 1 or 2 people. Very easy to use. got the lid. You can actually fit the whole gas can and stove inside the pot. I've used this thing so many times. I love the titanium spoon or titanium spork. I keep a little lighter in here for lighting the stove. And this thing actually doubles as a pot warmer. So when you're drinking your coffee, you know, and you kind of want to insulate your hands from how hot the metal is, it's awesome, and it'll keep your drinks warm a little bit longer on those really cold days. And the stove, I've got the BRS, I think it's the BRS 3000, just a 25-gram stove. This thing, I've had 2 of these, and this one I actually just leave it attached to the gas canister. I usually have a medium gas canister because it fits in the pot better. But this is just, I only had a big one at the moment. So I'll leave it attached because when I had it on the Continental Divide Trail, I would unscrew it and screw it back in every time I used it. And I would find that the threads, eventually I stripped the threads on the stove. Eventually I stripped the threads on the stove to where it would not thread onto the canister anymore, and so I had to improvise. I had to make a can, like aluminum can alcohol stove in the middle of Montana, which got me by until I got another one of these shipped out. But this stove's awesome if you just kind of understand. I also keep a little piece of wire so you can clean the fuel jet. So it's pretty, you know, if you spill something like soup or something on this, it drips over the side of your pot and it gets on the little fuel nozzle. It's a very small orifice, so occasionally you'll have to clean it with a little piece of wire. That might be something to practice before you head out, just so you're not stranded without a stove. And I've got a little titanium windscreen that I just keep for really heavy mountain winds. Can kind of keep the fire going, keep the heat contained a little better, but you gotta figure out, it sounds, you can hear it not getting enough oxygen, the sound of the flame will change, and so you don't want to starve it of oxygen because then it's like wasting gas and not working efficiently. So you need holes in certain places on your windscreen to allow air to flow into the combustion chamber. Yeah, with the medium one, usually this whole thing packs up to about this size. With the large gas canister, it's a little longer. But yeah, I just love how compact and how the whole cook system fits into this pot basically. It's very, very efficient use of space. For my water system, I usually use a 1.5 liter smart water bottle. Sometimes I'll use a 1 liter. I've got my Sawyer. This is the newer Sawyer Micro Squeeze, and it's actually it's probably half the weight of the original Sawyer Squeeze. And basically I'll fill this up with creek water, screw that on here, and then screw it onto the other bottle. And this one has a small needle hole in it. The dirty water bottle has a small needle hole so that it releases the vacuum, so it doesn't get stopped up as it's filtering, because it'll generate a vacuum where the water is moving out of the space. And I've got a little screw cap here so that I could screw this onto my other bottle, and I call it the hourglass filtration system. It's basically hands-free. You just set it and forget it at camp or whatever while you're setting up your tent or doing cooking or whatever. You don't have to squeeze it with your hands. You don't have to waste your time, get your hands cold, doing all that. No, this just does it for you. It's very simple, very easy, very effective. So that's how I've always done it. And I tried using the Camelbacks, but they're so much more heavy, and just, yeah, I just couldn't do it. It's not, Camelbacks are not a backpacking solution. I also carry, I usually have a piece of hose, but I've got the Sawyer plunger. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Hose is in the plunger. And you put the hose on the end of this for when you need to back flush your filter. So you'll fill this up with like clean sink water from your hotel room or whatever, and just push it through the filter opposite of the way it usually goes to clean out all the debris and cow pond water, algae, all that junk. So I've had to do this pretty much every week of using the filter. I'll flush it out because the flow definitely diminishes. It'll take a lot longer after a week of dirt and debris getting in that filter. It takes a lot longer to filter water, so this pretty much gets it back to its normal flow rate once you back flush it. And I keep all this in just a nice little blue pouch so I can always find it. So I've got 3 different bags that I would carry. I've got a Toiletries bag, I've got an electronics bag, and I've got like a first aid and gear repair bag. So toiletry bag, things like contact lenses for me, you know, having a backup way to see. I wouldn't usually carry deodorant, but I'd carry maybe nail clippers, toothpaste, toothbrush, a little towel, some earplugs, chapstick, just anything you think you might need to, you know, personal hygiene and things like that. First aid and gear repair has some different like medicines in it: Alka-Seltzer, painkiller, Zyrtec, allergy medicine. I've got kind of a first aid kit, sting relief, band-aids, Neosporin, medical tape, medical gloves, moleskin, mole foam is very useful when you start getting blisters from your new shoes. You put some of this on and make you good as new. So pretty simple, some Q-tips, some very minor things to heal minor injuries. I've got a kit for patching your sleeping pad. I'm using this Park Tool Super Patch Kit, which is for bicycle tires, and comes with a little sandpaper, a little alcohol wipe, and it'll fix your sleeping pad right up if you get a hole in it. And then I've got kind of a miscellaneous bag of needles and thread and gear repair things that I've needed at certain times. Zip ties, rubber bands, just some minor stuff that has come in handy to me in the past. And I'll carry an extra little sparker lighter in here as well, just for backup. Just don't want to be without fire. So this is my electronics carrying bag. It's just a Ziploc. Probably the most useful thing in here is going to be the headlamp. This is a Tekken headlamp. So it's got the red flashy. It's got a really nice bright light for night hiking, and it's got kind of a dimmer white LED for just seeing around camp and not blinding anybody. So this thing's rechargeable, just uses a standard micro USB. It's a great headlamp. I've used it pretty much my whole hiking, all 5,000 something miles. So love that. When I was doing a lot of hiking, I would use the 20,000 milliamp hour Anchor lithium-ion battery charger, and just a great little charger. I mean, it would keep my phone charged up, even doing maps and phone stuff and photos, a lot of photos. The 20,000, this is the 10,000, but the 20,000 would probably last you a good week or more if you're, depending on how you ration your cell phone battery. Got quite a few little short charger cables, so I have a backup for backups and backups. And this is nice. This is a 4 USB smart charger. So if you're at a hostel and all the electrical outlets are taken up, you know, this thing kind of helps you be a little more considerate and letting other people, you know, giving you as many USB ports as you need. Which I would have, you know, the power bank, I would have the headlamp, I'd have my phone, and I would have my backup Samsung as well plugged into this. But it only takes up one space, whereas, you know, one of these only has one USB outlet, so a lot less useful. And this is the Anchor 4 USB charger. And I would carry a backup phone with all my Gaia GPS maps loaded onto it and fully charged, just if my initial phone bit the dust, I'd have, you know, something to be able to find out where I am. Because if you don't have paper maps, you know, you need backups for your digital maps, because sometimes your phone will just die randomly and you're like, why did you die? and you can't figure it out. So backups, important. I've got a little bag with just some converters, things like a USB-C to micro USB converters for my S8, and various storage things like micro USB or micro SD cards. So I think almost gotten through everything. I was gonna run through, this is my clothes bag and my pillow. It's just the Thermarest blow up bag that came with the Thermarest Neo Air pad. So I've got a nice warm hat in here. It's just especially nice when it's really cold in Montana and it's snowy. You definitely want something to cover your ears, you know, and keep you warm. And at night, you know, maybe if it's really cold at night, I'll wear this and it's just amazing. So I love these trapper hats. I'm a big fan. And I would normally wear one of these Columbia PFG fishing shirts. I like it because it's got the pocket here, pocket over here, and it's like SPF 50 sun protection, long sleeves. So I just found this was the best all-around shirt to do everything I wanted. Whether you're hiking in the snow or in the desert, you know, it works really well. And my daily pants were the Columbia Silver Ridge convertible hiking cargo pants. You know, they're great because they have a zipper pocket over here, cargo pockets. You can zip them off, make shorts. And a little, maybe fragile, I guess would be the word. But generally a pair of these would last me 1,000 miles or more, you know, and about 1,000 miles for the shirt. So I consider that, you know, well, good enough, considering the price is only like $40 or $50 for those. I would keep a pair of these Columbia shorts as a backup. Obviously underwear and socks you want to bring, or maybe you don't want to bring underwear because you're ultralight. I don't know. This is just like a down jacket I got from the thrift store. It's basically comparable to like the Ghost Whisperer down jacket. So this is pretty much good down to like 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And I would store in the two pockets, I've got two pairs, or a pair of gloves and a face buff, I guess. Yeah, so when it's really cold and you're putting on the jacket, you usually need gloves and something to cover your face and your ears and everything as well. So I just keep that all in one little packet here. Stuff it all back in there. Socks, I really like the Smart Wool, like thicker socks, because they prevent you from getting blisters, and they're just really comfortable. They're kind of cushiony for your feet when you're walking 20 or 30 miles a day. It's good stuff to have. So my shoes, this is actually the pair of shoes I wore for the Pyrénées, the Alps, the Te Araroa. Wore these for 2,000 miles. They're still in decent shape, but they, you know, 2,000 miles for a pair of shoes. I mean, most trail runners will last like 500 miles, maybe, if you're lucky. So for these to last 2,000 miles, you know, I couldn't have asked more of them. It did get this big gaping hole in the side. Might try to get them repaired or just get a new pair, because I mean, 2,000 miles, I mean, come on. But these are great for ankle support. You know, I recently rolled my ankle in a Taekwondo class, and man, if that had happened to me when I was in the middle of the wilderness, like, good night. I don't know if I could have made it out. You know, I might have had to get a rescue just by, you know, one misstep of rolling your ankle in the woods with a big heavy pack on could really mess up your day. So I love the ankle support in these boots. I love the protection. I love the waterproofness up to a point, but obviously hiking in New Zealand, you're crossing rivers like every day. So that's probably the downside of these, is that, you know, if you're doing a lot of water crossings, they will stay wet for quite a while. So it's just something to think about. But otherwise, just great boots. Danner, pronghorn, 8-inch leather boots. Love them. So I would carry this, this is an Eddie Bauer fanny pack. I love this thing. I use it to carry anything that is just on the outside of my body in my pockets. I don't like to have anything in my pockets. I just put it all in this. So at the end of the day, I just throw it off next to my sleeping bag and I'm good to go. But I would also use this as a day hike. If I'm just going to like bag a peak or something real quick, I want to drop my pack. You can extend this. I could fit a bottle of water, snacks, phone, you know, just minor small stuff that you need to run up a mountain and back in here, and just throw it over my shoulder and go. So just a useful thing. Good stuff. So there were a few times on the Continental Divide Trail and on the John Muir Trail and in the Pyrenees where I needed some snow gear. So the most minor is these Yaktrax. These are basically just a rubber boot cover that has a little spring coils all around, so you have a metal traction enhancer in the snow. So these are good for just minor ice and minor snow. But if you're doing something like the John Muir Trail in a high snow year, I used these. These are Energetic Sky, and these are Microspikes. So these actually have the chains. They have the spikes on the bottom, like a 1/2-inch spikes all over the bottom of your foot. So those were like solid. Like I could hike normally in these and not have to worry about slipping and falling on the ice. And then if you're doing like crazy mountaineering stuff, you might even need a pair of crampons, like real mountaineering crampons. These are Black Diamond crampon shoe spikes, like dragon claws. So I haven't used these a whole lot, but I did use them on the John Muir Trail a bit. And then, like again, John Muir Trail, high snow year, I needed an ice axe. I got this nice camp one, and basically the idea is you're hiking along the side of the mountain with it, and if you slip and fall, you dig the ice axe into the snow and self-arrest yourself so you don't go sliding down into a crevasse or down the side of a mountain off a cliff or whatever. This can really save your life. A lot of people have died from falling off ice mountains. And on the Continental Divide Trail in the San Juans, close to Wolf Creek Pass, there was a lot of snow in 2016 when I did it. So I needed a pair of snowshoes. I just kind of put them on the outside of my pack like wings. And I actually sold the ones I had. These are different ones, but about the same as what I had, maybe a little heavier. But I had the Northern Lights snowshoes for the San Juans, because if you didn't have snowshoes, every step you would post hole into the snow up to your waist. My friend actually post holed up to his head once. So like snowshoes were like very important to your sanity and to making actual progress through that slushy, melting, you know, spring and summer snow. Alright, so that's all the gear that I've used to hike the Continental Divide Trail, the John Muir Trail, the High Route of the Pyrenees, the GR5 in the Alps, and the South Island Te Araroa Trail. So obviously all this gear has been proven by the fact that it got me through all those trails. And so if you're doing some research trying to figure out what gear you need to take for your thru hike, then maybe this will give you some ideas and help you feel a little more comfortable about the gear that you picked. So, awesome. Let me know if you got any questions in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button, and let me know if there's something you want to see, some video I can make that would be interesting to you. Alright, see you later.